thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to take a look at the YASH SharePoint Upgrade Migration webinar. Today we are going to cover the various aspects of migration of SharePoint from on-premise to cloud. So in this topic today we are going to cover SharePoint 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016 versions as well as SharePoint Online version. So the agenda for this today's call would be, a quick nutshell about YASH, the service offerings we do in the SharePoint space, as well as the landscape of technology offerings we do at YASH, and also the migration approach, method, and the tools we use to migrate, and also the planning that is required for upgrade of earlier versions to the target versions, and also what are the possible issues we may see before, during, after migration, and what is the YASH approach, typical approach basically. Okay, and this is in a nutshell about YASH, who we are. We are in the business for about 20 years, and we are 4,000 plus strong employees, and we have about 350 plus clients as of today, with 30 offices worldwide. We are located in all the continents. And the YASH services portfolio, we do SAP as well as non-SAP, and today we are going to mostly concentrate on the SharePoint aspect of it. Okay, and these are the typical service offerings we do. We have been offering the SharePoint services for the past say 17 years, right from SharePoint 2001, 2003, 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016, and online versions as well. So the classification, how we did was we do the infrastructure management services plus consulting. In the consulting aspect, we also do the application support, application re-engineering, modernization, upgrade, enhancements, and legacy integrations as well. In the specialized services, we do the social media and the cloud with mobility aspects of it. And in the developmental aspects, we almost do, most part of the SharePoint. I don't say we do everything, but whatever we do, we are quite confident and experts in that. And migrations being the major part of SharePoint because of the release of the versions. We have done quite a few migrations from earlier versions of SharePoint to the latest versions and the cloud, as well as from Lotus Notes to SharePoint, Documentum to SharePoint, and other content management systems as well. This is in a nutshell about the SharePoint service offerings. We do the annual maintenance and support, as well as the managed services part of the environments as well. And here is the main topic of discussion for this today's call. SharePoint, let's take SharePoint 2007 because it's almost in the end of Microsoft support. So migrating from SharePoint 2007, 10, 13, 16, from on-premise to on-premise, on-premise to cloud. So what are the solutions we have? So let's take SharePoint 2007 and 10 on-premise, and how do we migrate that to SharePoint 2013, 2016 on-premise with manual migration. This is one of the approach. The second approach would be a Metallogix tool. The third approach would be again the Metallogix tool, but to the cloud. So SharePoint as a platform, we have on-premise as well as Office 365, which has SharePoint Online as one of the products, and we have the Exchange public folders, Windows file shares, and the Google Drives, including the OneDrive as well. And so what we are going to migrate? We are going to migrate on the environment as is, but it will have some issues during the migration and after migration, depending on the type, nature, of the application that is involved in the SharePoint. So content, sites, workflows, metadata, web parts, applications, connections, the email alerts, database, search databases, everything can be migrated. But I can assure you that the 100% of the content and security will be migrated without absolutely any loss of data. But there will be issues when it comes to branding, workflows, custom web parts, third-party tools, connection strings, content types, and several of them as well. We can discuss it in the checklist later on. Let's take a look at the options available. The first option is migration from SharePoint 2007 on-premise or SharePoint 2010 on-premise to on-premise to SharePoint 2013 or 16. This is the manual content database migration approach, where we manually set the database on a Friday night to read-only mode and take a backup and do the migration configuration process and attach, detach at various levels. So we move this database, content databases, how many of them are there? So from one version to the other version with all the pre-upgrade check tools and making sure the schema is upgraded, database schema is upgraded. This is how we move. There is no direct path from 2007 to 2013. We have to go through the route of SharePoint 2010 to migrate to 2013. Similarly to 2016 as well. We have to go the route of hopping from 2010 to 13, 13 to 16. So this is the manual content database migration approach. And using the tool, Metalogix tool, it's quite fast and and easy to migrate because it's all user interface driven. And what happens with this tool is, there is a constraint here. There is a size limit, database size limit, content size limit, where it supports up to 1.5 terabytes of content migration. So there is a limit on the content database size. So using this tool, we can directly move from SharePoint 2007 to 2013 or 2016 on-premise, and tool will automatically take care of the schema upgrades. And when it comes to the next option, it's on-premise to cloud. That is nothing but SharePoint Online. So there is also a manual approach for migration from on-premise to cloud, but it's not at all recommended because it has to be done, category by category, and it's very, very time-taking and lots of project time and burning of dollars are involved here. So the Metalogix tool migration might be the best option here, so that we can quickly migrate from 2007 to online, to 2010 to online, 2013 to online. SharePoint 2016 has been just released a few months back. And the upgrade checklist, even before planning for a migration, let's have the checklist and the proof of concept implementation so that we know what exactly we are taking care of, and we can follow the book and just do the migration. We need to take care of the customer communications. How do we inform to the end users so that on a Monday morning everything will be all right? And the form customizations, upgrade customization, environmental cleanups, static links, DNS aliases, hardware build out, because during the migration, we will need 3 times the disk space at the target location because the temp files are created and they are automatically deleted once the migration is done. And we also need to take care of the third-party tools, their licenses, solutioning, and the deployment at the target servers after the migration is done, so that the custom web parts or the tools work seamlessly. and what are the backup options, what are the recovery options, what is the rollback options we may have, what are the contingency factors, and do we want to have an form level backup or a database level backup or an item level backup or an incremental level backup. So we can plan it out, and scheduling of operations so that it does not have a conflict with the production patching aspects of it. This is in a nutshell about the preliminary checklist. And this is very important topic, possible implementation issues before, during, after migration. We need to be very careful with the infrastructural limitations. We need to plan out the content database. What is the size? How many types of content databases? What is the size of each content database? And do we have a governance plan? If yes, we need to verify the service accounts and making sure the DNS service accounts, that they are all in place. And the support, planning, and training, knowledge transfer, once it is done. And especially when it comes to these migration topics, the earlier versions of SharePoint may not be having the latest versions of SharePoint features. So how do we enable them after that? What is the sequential and priority basis? And the next one is most important. Information rights management policies. How do we configure, based on what are the retention policies around the different policy procedure documents, automatic email alerts, and monitoring, auditing, and reports. And since almost everything is going into cloud, DLP is initially, data loss prevention is initially set on the Office 365 SharePoint Online products, and later it was brought to the on-premise as well. We'll just make sure that there is no restricted data being shared across one drive, so that we have enough filters which can block that. So we will just make sure those are in place. And planning for the future state of SharePoint usage, based on the previous data we may have for the past years or the quarters, what is the size of the growth of the SharePoint content database. Based on that, we'll make sure that we have enough SanDisk space available for the next couple of years at least. And during migration, from SharePoint 2007 and 10 especially, branding, customization, custom source code, custom web parts, database connections, this will be a worrisome issue because these will fail. This will 100% fail, in fact, and we need to fix them after migration is done. So after migration, the fixing phase will be another one based on the SharePoint version we are in. And the growth, envisioning, and scalability and performance is the topic of interest, because when a large number of audience do come in and visit the intranet site based on their personalized views, how is it? How is the performance? Is it slow? Is it rendering very slow, or is it fast? How do we enhance the whole thing when system is slow, including database fine-tuning as well? And social networking sites. In SharePoint 2007, 10, my sites, my profiles used to be a big thing, but with the flood of social networking tools available in the market, Yammer tool, SAP Jam, other things, are we going to integrate the SharePoint with social networking tools? And the next one would be the roles and responsibilities, securities, and the access control list. It's always good to have SharePoint groups or Active Directory IDs to be added into the security, rather than individual users being added into the SharePoint sites for access. So we'll just make sure that this clutter is not there with respect to distribution groups or just adding users individually. And the most important thing that we plan ahead of migration is, do we need cleanup activities? Do we want to carry forward all the data which is unused for a longer time? We can configure those rules in IRM as well, saying that if any orphaned sites are there, any data which is not used or accessed for a couple of years, We can track all these with a PowerShell scripting written on top of the existing SharePoint 2007 or a 10 system, and make sure that these are all cleaned up before migration happens. And workflows, if we are using an in-text workflow or a K2 workflow, just make sure that we need to install these third-party tools at the target location, and necessary licenses are in place so that workflows are activated after migration. And the info path forms, as Microsoft decommissioned InfoPath forms, but still available with the InfoPath form readers. So, for starting 2016, Microsoft has requested to stay away from InfoPath forms building. So, just to keep a watch on this one. And alerts and email notifications, which can be configured after the migration is done, if we have a textbook precision documentation available on the SharePoint 2007 or 2010, so that it can be quickly configured. And when it comes to the mobility apps, if we have it in 2010 or 13, just make sure they are in place once again after the migration is done. And DLP, once again, because OneDrive is getting activated once we move into cloud, so that users can share their documents through OneDrive, and make sure that they do not upload any restricted information. And we can as well block with some keywords. These are the high-level possible implementation issues we foresee in the implementations we had. And the YASH implementation approach, we basically prefer to do a two-phase approach. One is a comprehensive assessment of your existing environment. Based on that, a comprehensive report will be generated on what we have and what are the risks involved, what are the assumptions we are going to make on that, and the period of it. And we also do a proof of concept implementation, so that you can see the existing environment as well as the future environment sites, and compare them once the migration is done. And in the phase 2, based on phase 1, we suggest the implementation approach, business models, delivery models, timelines, and the pricing part of it. And it also includes the comprehensive statement of work, which involves the complete solution approach, deployment, how we are going to fix the branding, workflows, static link issues, and what would be the communication plan and the rollout, and what it would be for whenever there is an issue or a risk or change management have to be issued for. Moving ahead with the migration tools, we have the on-premise versus online comparison. Migration tools, there are several tools in the market, Metlogix, AvePoint, ShareGate. So here is the comparison, between, open it up, and what are the features involved. YASH Cloud Transformation Services, this is how we transformed ourselves from an on-premise as well as cloud and a hybrid version. We classify applications, access applications based on the requirements, identify application platforms, and do the assessment, and whatever it required for the migration roadmap. As I said before, we plan based on the pre-upgrade checklist, and then do a proof of concept implementation after comprehensive assessment of the environment. And YASH service offerings, both on Office 365, and as well as the on-prem, we do application design, development, maintenance, modernization, optimization, re-engineering, migration, and integration services. And when it comes to the basic core IT services, along with these application services, we do this infrastructure management and hosting services. I would also like to tell you that we are gold certified Microsoft partner in application development, content and collaboration, and we are all levels of partners in SAP and Oracle, IBM, and we are also partnered with Amazon Web Services. So we bring in a combo service pack wherein we offer application integration, developmental services, as well as with the infrastructure management services. And I just want to add in a couple more slides here. Apart from SharePoint, we also do the Dynamics, migration services from on-premise to cloud, and we do the upgrades, customization, enhancements, support, implementation, development, and integration as well. And these are the migration services from Dynamics CRM 2011 to 2013, 2015 versions, and to online as well. And this will greatly help to position YASH. And we do the kind of business models we do on-site only, offshore only, a combination of on-site, offshore. We also do the hybrid approach, on-site, off-site, offshore. We do staff augmentation and shared services business models as well. Okay. And why YASH? Basically, the differentiator and the value proposition I can bring on to this discussion would be, as we are partnered with Microsoft and gold certified partner in application development and content and collaboration, and we're also partnered with various other SAP, IBM, Oracle, Actuate, and the value proposition I can bring in is we are a small, medium-sized company. I don't say we do everything and anything, but whatever choices we make, we are very much experienced in doing so, and the quality and the timely delivery, and the SDK setup for the mobility space, development of mobile apps in iOS and Android and Windows 8 platforms. The basic approach we take in preparing and assessment of the existing environments and bringing out the comprehensive report and doing a proof of concept implementation will give the exact picture of what is coming at the end of the project. And we do offer proof of concept implementations well ahead of time, and also assessment of the existing environments. We can do it on-site or we can do it offshore based on the customer preference, and we are quite flexible in the business models and the delivery models as well. We do Agile, we do Scrum, Iteration, Waterfall, Scrum, and the only one we are not going to do or we are not entertained is Rational Unified Process, RUP, where the requirements are not known at the time of beginning or during the project. It's a very risky phase of it. So when it comes to YASH, we have 350 plus active customers as of today, and these are referenceable customers, and we are doing the manager services for about 150 plus clients, both in SAP as well as non-SAP. And we have a large pool of global talent situated across all 5 continents and accessible most of the time in all time zones.